someone should run another study on the incidence of testicular cancer, because I definitely think it's on the rise, especially with AAA companies, or more likely quadruple A companies. This is what they call themselves now, right? So this got me thinking, like, imagine the balls. Imagine the balls they need to have to face the internet, the market, with games that are far worse than the video games that were made 20 years ago, and to claim that actually we're quadruple A. I mean, the size of balls that these CEOs need to have, it is deeply concerning that they need to get a testicular cancer screening. So the reason for this, and I said it before, is that when you choose to stop hiring smelly geeks, like they had the journalists constantly mocking the geeks and, oh, like the straight white men, imagine the smell, oh, those smelly geeks. Those smelly geeks were money printing factories. Like, they were producing wealth just nonstop, creating entertainment that was going around the world. People in Africa, people in China, people in Indonesia were playing American games made by these smelly, icky geeks, right? They were icky, they weren't popular. Most companies were ashamed with them that they hide them in the basement. Like, I'm not kidding, the IT department in most of these companies was in the basement. And meanwhile, the glass offices were for the salespeople and the marketing, right? It was the way of things. But the reality was that these people were churning out good games. They were churning out culture and good product, regardless of how unpopular and icky they were. But at some point, companies decided, you know what? We don't like these icky geeks. We're going to hire the prestigious gender studies people. Again, I will always say this. In every single video that I talk about gender studies, I will remind people that Germany has 4 seats for nuclear fusion and over 140 for gender studies related academics, right? So just so you can understand the situation we're in, like the value society places on this higher state of learning, where you get to know how to be a lesbian dancing master instructor, right? These were the people that they decided are capable to make video games. Like, they have no background in writing, they have no background in coding, but now they are the bosses and the leaders of the people that write, of the people that code, of artists, of everything. Like, nothing gets to be produced unless it passes through the gender studies majors. And we have to pretend that this is not an issue. We have to pretend that this is not what ruined video games by putting this nepotism, by having this corruption of people that know absolutely nothing about creating an entertaining product, and they're put in charge. And like, surely this is not going to affect the product line. Surely this is not going to do anything wrong, right? When I see content creators that are basically saying, no, wokeness has nothing to do with it, I'm laughing at them. Like, you must be completely clueless. Like, you must think that you can go to a factory that's producing a product and you put someone that has no idea about engineering, has no idea about how the product is made, and you put them in charge, and it's not going to influence anything. Like, it's not going to change anything. Well, if it's not going to change anything, why would they hire them to begin with, right? So now that you have, like, these ideologues in charge, you get companies that are going back to video games that have already been made, were already classics, and didn't offend anyone. Like, I don't remember anyone being offended by the Tomb Raider game. And they're posting up this garbage. And as you can see, I already made a video about it. I talked about it previously. You have Crystal Dynamics posting this on their main Twitter account, saying that the game is a collection which contains offensive depictions of people and cultures rooted in racial and ethnic prejudice. Like, who talks like that? Does your hairstylist talk like that? Does your taxi driver talk like that? Does the bricklayer that constructs your house talk like that? Does the immigrant that washes the toilet of a Democrat talk like? No one talks like this, okay? Like, it's only the people indoctrinated in the American academia that talks like this. Like, you immediately recognize who they are, who the problem is, because they are so segregated from reality. They created their own language. They created their own lingo, their way of speaking. I don't need to read much in order to know who churned this out. Like, I imagine the smell, as they say. I can just close my eyes and imagine the cat piss of the person that is lonely, miserable in an apartment in California, surrounded by an army of cats. That is the type of person that writes this garbage. Okay, like no one talks like this around the world in the history of mankind, except for Portland, California, I guess London, and maybe Paris. But that's pretty much it, you know, like the places where you can find these people is very limited. So anyway, they're forcing the company to post this shit. Where basically they deem what is offensive, right? Like they're the deemers. Like we get to decide, no, you have to be offended by this because we say so. It's not like a grassroots thing, you know, because when it's a grassroots thing, it's like the Latin community being upset by Latinx, right? And like everyone is saying, no, this is offensive, stop this shit. They're not going to listen. They don't care what the people on the ground say. It's only about, no, we are the activists. You get to shut the fuck up. We talk on your behalf. And this is why it's offensive. Like, this is why it's triggering. It's not the message in itself. It's the mentality behind the message. It's the type of person that would write such a horrible thing. So, they basically say that, you know, you need to learn from it, right? So, the company that's an entertainment company, which is literally a monkey that dances, begging me for my cash, now thinks that it's my mommy and daddy with the capability to educate me, right? Like, I'm not going to take education from a person that got student debt from going out of gender studies university. Like, shut the fuck up. I'm not really interested. You know, like, talk to me when you go to STEM. Talk to me when you actually learn how to do something productive for society. You're going to come out and say, oh, wait, learn from it. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, right. It got a lot of criticism. Like, it got millions of people. I'm not kidding. Like the original post had millions of responses. Views. But it had the tens of thousands of responses. Everyone was mocking, belittling it, right? Like, clearly not what they were trying to go for. And now you have, like, other companies, as you can see, doing the rank and file and saying many video games are a product of the times they were created in. As we look to recreate and remaster those stories for modern audience, it's important to consider the implication of these harmful portrayals and do our part to rewrite new history. Rewrite history? Like, these people have not learned anything from history. You know, the Germans wanted to rewrite history, the Nazis, the Soviets, usually like dictatorships that were cracking down on human rights, and they were trying to rewrite history so that people didn't know how good things were before they came along. That's when you rewrite history. Secondly, it also looks like some shit that's written on ChatGPT. Like, they couldn't even bother writing their own stuff. Or if they did write their own stuff, it's so cliche that even an AI that's pretty much like a language predictable algorithm is just like churning out the same shit that you're writing. And of course, you know, the comments having disabilities. Like this is the hallmark. This is the echelon, right? Like, they're wanting to educate you, but you can't respond to them. You're not allowed to see just how many millions of people are disagreeing with them. And there's little, like, you know, like you say, well, there's millions of trolls. It's like, okay, but like, where are the people agreeing with them? What are the tens of millions of people that agree with you? They aren't. They don't exist, right? And not to mention, it's not their job to rewrite history. And video games that were actually good were timeless classics. Like, timeless classics do not reflect the modern audience. Timeless classics are supposed to be enjoyed by everyone, right? Like Warcraft 3, for instance. Whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, whether you're not an American even. Whether you're a communist, a fascist, that doesn't fucking matter. You can still enjoy Warcraft 3. But you can't do the same with The Last of Us, can you? Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.